The book I want to present you today is not a new book. I think it's a book from 1978. I like it because it has 60 complete games which show Capablanca's endings, and it's cheap. Honestly, it's one of those used books that new cost like $9 and used it's probably $3. So for $3 you can enjoy 60 games commented by this Irving Chernev, that was a famous author, chess author, that has written many interesting books. There is also a collection of games, 62 games, that is very beautiful and quite good for every beginner or player that wants to improve. And today I would like to start to watch some of the games from this book to give you an idea of the content. We begin with game number 1. Capablanca is white. The black player is J. Corzo. This is the ninth match game, because they were playing a match on many games, played in the Havana, Cuba, in 1901. Here Chernev writes, despite the importance of the occasion, this being a match for the championship of Cuba, the 12-year-old Capablanca breezes through the entire game in phenomenally quick time, taking only 24 minutes for the entire 59 moves. 59 moves in 24 minutes. An average of less than half a minute per move. The two players whiz through the opening, skip the mid-game, and arrive at the ending in less than 20 moves. The ending is absorbing enough, though, to make up for anything else that is lacking. Capablanca begins with d4, and Corzo plays the Dutch defense with f5. The Dutch defense has been favored by aggressive players from Morphy to Alekhine. Morphy won 2 beautiful games from Arvids with the Dutch, demonstrating in each of them his skills in the endgame. Arvids, I have a chess set that brings his name and is from 1852 to 1855. Alekhine, needing a win to capture the 4th prize in the Hastings 1922 tournament, chose the Dutch as a fighting weapon against Bogolyubov. And I think we have seen this game in another video, because if I'm not wrong, it's the game number 1 of this. Yes, it is. Yes. The video on this book, the game number 1, is in fact Bogolyubov against Alekhine, and it was played the Dutch in 1922. His fate was not misplaced, as he won the game in glorious style. And here it seems that there is another book written by Irving Chernev called The Golden Dozen, and you can find that game on page 265. So he was able even to make advertisement to his own books in this book. Okay. Botvinnik, a connoisseur of this defense, used it in his game against Steiner at Groningen in 1946. He launched an irresistible kingside attack when he obtained the initiative and demolished his opponent in 28 moves. Okay, let's continue. After d4, f5, and this is why you don't play really f5. If you want to play the Dutch, you try with this to avoid the possible gambits, because now Capablanca played e4, f takes e4, knight c3, knight f6, and bishop g5. White has a good alternative here, which could be f3, and this is called the Staunton Gambit. Okay. In the book you can find more details. I honestly don't care to really discuss all the opening, because I'm more interested in learning about the endgames played by Capablanca. c6. And now, remember again, you cannot really play this, okay? And you tell me, why I cannot play? Because there is this one. You say, well, so it's still defended, right? No, it is not. Because then there is this move, and that is gonna fall, okay? So independently from how you take, this is gonna fall. So, and it's a mess for black. Yeah, it's not a really good thing. So that's why you don't really defend it, because it's a kind of gambit. That's why also you need to know the theory in the Dutch if you want to accept the pawn on e4. c6 was played in the game. Bishop takes f6, e7 takes f6, knight takes e4, d5, knight g3, check. This is a very interesting move because here it's not commented, but clearly you see that Capablanca wants to go into an endgame. Why? Because he's ready to exchange the queens. So he doesn't care to keep the difficulty of the game high with the queen of the board. He wants to exchange them right away. Queen takes e2, bishop takes e2, and bishop d6, knight g3, castle, castle, bishop g4, h3, bishop takes f3, bishop takes f3, bishop takes g3, f takes g3. So I think that the reason why they went very fast is because they are exchanging all the pieces. So, and honestly, I don't know if you have realized it, but this position, it looks like a French defense exchange variation. Okay, let's see what Irving has to say. Corzo has relinquished any advantage the two bishops might have given him and seems to be playing for a quick draw. To his sorrow, he learns that one does not arrive at a quick draw with Capablanca by exchanging pieces. It was in the handling of a consequent position that Capablanca was unrivaled. They often turn out to be not so simple as they appear. Rook f e1, rook a e8, and now you see Capablanca start the endgame playing this move, king f1. I don't know why not this? Why not this? That's an interesting idea, right? Who knows why? f5. This move is interesting because it clearly tells white that black wants to play this. Rook takes, and now rook e1. Rook takes e1 and king takes e1. So now we are really in an ending game, right? So knight f6, like I told you, he wants to go there. King e1 d2. Knight here. Oh, this is very, very interesting. Because he knew that he was taking that, right? King e3. And now he played knight d6. Clearly, here we need to see why black didn't play this, right? Because it's clear that you know, in the endgame you need to centralize your king. And notice this king is still in his initial square, this king is nearly in the center. So imagine how Capablanca is smart. He knows he can play this, and now the knight cannot go here. He could go back on e4, I think, but who knows what happened. Let's say he played this, and then he takes this. Because also if he goes on e4, you take here, so who cares? And you are really entering inside. Yeah, okay, so as you can see, this endgame is already interesting, right? Because we are seeing that Capablanca wasn't scared to give up a pawn, especially in the endgame, right? So that's kind of interesting. And Corzo, being a good player, he goes back. But there is this weakness. So how do you stop him from entering? That's the part I don't really understand. Let's see what happened in the game. He played this move. Play king f7. And now this. So instead of this, king f7, maybe you should have played this, right? Because you want to prevent white from entering here. And of course, who cares? If he does this, you do this, and you don't care, right? So that made more sense, because this doesn't prevent him from entering. I don't know, it's interesting. But he played this, so he's gonna attack. But yet, probably plays h4, right? Okay, let's see what Mr. Irving Chernev wrote. Here it starts ending 1. So it's nice that he gave us all the moves so we know where the ending 1 starts. And we know from which opening it started. Also, if honestly, I tell you, it looks like a French defense exchange variation. I have played in this kind of endgame with the French defense. Okay, Capablanca is the one to move, and here he says the position may look drawish, but it is to Capablanca's liking. He often manages to squeeze a win out of a theoretical draw. Practically, he is like Magnus. In discussing the relative worth of knight and bishop, Capablanca once remarked, "The weaker the player, the more terrible the knight is to him. But as a player increases in strength, the value of a bishop becomes more evident to him." And of course, there is or should be a corresponding decrease in the value of a knight as compared to the bishop. Now, this is true and false at the same time, because I have seen in some endgames the fact that the knight, also if he's very slow, he has a lot of problems, in reality can go over the 64 squares, while the bishop can only go on 32. And that's make a difference, okay? And you can see it when you play against a computer. Against a computer you will realize that. Because the computer is amazing in this sense. In any case, like I said, Capablanca played h4. Why did he play h4? Because he needs to stop this right away. But let's see. For example, I thought, why he didn't play this? No? Because in the game he played this. So as you can see, we are learning also the black side of this endgame, not only the white side, that is Capablanca. So in the game it was played this, and it's probably the right move. Why? Let me tell you why. Because if you play this, he can play this right away. And so you are not able to play g5 because there is the en passant, right? Instead, if you play this, now you can try to play g5 with this and this, right? So that's why. g6 is the move to play. And this, believe me, will come in handy when you are in a kind of an endgame like this, because you already know that g6 is the right move. g4, h6, g5, h take g5, h take g5. Now, try to understand one thing. The author Irving Chernev didn't tell you, but I'm gonna tell you. You don't want the pawns on the light squares, you want the pawns on the dark square. Why? Because on the dark square they cannot be attacked by his bishop. Instead, with this move that Capablanca just did, he fixed his two pawns on the light squares, so they will be attacked by that bishop, and someone will have to defend them. So that's a kind of very interesting situation which happened here. Okay, look at this, king e7. And if I would be you, I would pause the video and try to guess the move played by Capablanca, because clearly it's interesting. I thought he would play this, but he didn't, because probably he can be immediately repelled. Instead, he played this, g4. Very good move. Very good move. F takes g4. And now, like I told you, you know, I never saw this game. I didn't see this game, or maybe I saw it years ago. But like I told you, to have this fix is a problem. And he doesn't take this. He plays, boom, this move. Which is amazing, right? Because now you have or to defend or to do something about it, right? And black played knight f5. This results in white getting an outside pass pawn, an advantage as it is threat to move on ties down black pieces. It seems there was a guy called David Hooper which suggested this move, king f7, and after this then to play knight b5, c3 and knight c7. And black will, and this is a good drawing chances, he says. Let's see if it's true. I don't know, honestly. Obviously, keep in mind, this book, I think it's from 1978, if I remember well, but maybe it was written before. So yeah, copyright 1978. 1978, the computer were not strong enough to calculate this kind of endgame, and so it could be true, it could not be true. Maybe we needed to obviously check the game with an engine to be 100% sure, okay? In any case, knight d6 f5. Obviously you cannot take, because if it takes back and you try to take, this goes to promotion, okay? So that's the problem. And so white takes on g4, but once you take on g4, black can take on d4. So here we go. Obviously this is gone, like I told you. That's why fixing the pawns on the white square was really great. c5, king g4, h5, and knight d4, e6. And now, yes, I think you can see that the bishop is stronger than the knight. But maybe there was a way to avoid that thing that happened over the board, to have a pawn fix on light squares. Okay, so let's see what happened here. Okay, here it says black must bring his pieces over to the king side to prevent the pass pawn from pushing on. King h6, king f8, bishop f5, and knight g7. Now, if you want to learn about the endgame, you should analyze this move and find out if black is able to draw or not. Try to do your own analysis and then check it with a computer. But in the game he played this move, okay? Hopes, bishop c8, b6, g6. Remember, the pass pawn must be pushed, okay? It must be pushed. Now, black tries to create his own pass pawn, but he can't. Why? Because there is a bishop that is able to control the light squares and avoid that black can advance, right? He played b3, preventing obviously c4 and d3. King g8, oops, a4. And this also block this pawn from going forward, right? King f8, bishop c8 g4, knight g7 e8, oops, king h7, knight e8 g7, king h6, knight e8, and bishop e2. Like I told you, he controls the entire diagonal. But how do you actually go forward here? In my opinion, here maybe white needs to change. He needs to go on the other side with this king and take down the pawns, right? Okay, so here he played knight e8 g7, bishop c4, knight e8, and as you can see, he goes for the as-over. So, what would you play here as black? Because it's kind of interesting. One could think this is the move, but he must stop white from trying to enter with the king, so he played this one. Obviously, if you do this, you just return back to control the square, so white doesn't go anywhere. But he cannot do that, right? He needs to go in that direction. Check. King e5. And now the problem is that black cannot play this move, for example, because there is this, and if you do this, I think there is this, and then this, and now how do you stop that? Okay, so that's the problem, right? And that's why this is the position, if I remember well, and tack, and he goes here instead of playing that move at d7, king d7. So this is the position in which they are. Bishop e2, knight g7, king d5. Ay. Things are starting to go bad, very bad. Very, very bad. So what do you do here? Because if you play this, there is this. What do you do? Because if you go here, oops, and these are gone. If you go here, the knight is gonna die, right? Because then there is this and this. So, oh my god, it's over. I think it's over. So he played knight e8 instead. And then, of course, there is the penetration here. What do you do? What do you do? Oops. Tack. Good defense. But obviously, I think at this point, again, you can see how this white bishop controls all the white squares. And this is the moves played in the game. As you can see, black cannot move anything else because he has only this, otherwise this fall. Now here there is an interesting note on this one. How does white win? So I think a good thing would have been to put a diagram at this point, put a diagram so we know where to go. However, after this, obviously there is bishop e4, knight g7, king b5, knight e8, a5. At a certain point, he makes everything goes down. But you like it or not, he makes this pawn structure fall down, crash. And so that's why he wins if you try to play this, not that he didn't win the other way. This is the move played in the game, but if you play this, again, there is this, and then it's over, right? So what he played, it was here, he goes here, okay? He plays this, and then again, this is the move. Here it seems a kind of a transposition. e5, knight d6, very good. Tack, tack. And now there is, oops, and the game is over. Right? So this is a very beautiful endgame. Very beautiful, and something honestly useful, because I think that's why I don't like the French exchange, because often I found myself in this type of endgame and it was kind of desperate and I didn't know why. Now, thanks to Capablanca, we know that in fact he says the bishop is too strong for that knight, and so that's why you lose. Very, very beautiful. Okay, I hope you enjoyed game 1 from Irving Chernev, Capablanca Best Chess Endings. 60 games. Eventually we will see other games from this book if I have requests. At least you had an idea of the quality of the game, quality of the analysis, and the content from this book if you want to have it in your own chess library. Thank you very much. See you next time.